Terraria, game of endless possibilities. Unless you're me, of course. Because I'm about to make this game way harder than it has to be. Some of you know Terraria as the game you got with your Xbox 360 back in the day. And some of you probably know it as 2D Minecraft. And to those people I say, you're wrong. Dead wrong. Today I'm shutting down all the 2D Minecraft talk by beating Terraria without mining or crafting. First, we need to set some ground rules for the challenge. Rule number 1, no mining. In Terraria, mining includes breaking a solid block you can't pass through, like stone or bricks, with a pickaxe. However, this does mean I can break walls with hammers, I can cut trees with axes, and I can cut wires with wire cutters. Rule 2, no crafting. This one's simple. I'm not crafting anything. No torches, no armor, no weapons, no accessories, absolutely nothing. The game didn't hand it to me, I'm not using it. Rule 3, no major exploits. That means no invincibility glitches, no infinite money hacks. Those are game breaking and unintentional. Finally, the run ends when I beat the final boss of Terraria, the Moonlord. My Terraria world started out like any other Terraria world, but first, I had to deal with something. I would then proceed to mine down a tree, which only 45% of Minecraft players ever manage to achieve. It's not that difficult, guys, come on. I would then begin to explore my world, having a look, seeing what I can find. I would find myself a boomerang. Came up with a great idea. With one fallen star, I can make an enchanted boomerang so I can see. However, I forgot I can't craft. So that plan's a bust. Since I couldn't make myself an enchanted boomerang, I would go looking for pots so I can get torches out of them. And luckily for me, there'd be one as soon as I get to the jungle. However, I wouldn't have a torch. I would have something better. A bomb. See, this one item would change the entire course of the run. Bombs would give us a great alternative to mining, can allow us to get materials to build our houses in the overworld, and gain us free access to hell. And with that, I'd begin working on houses. In Terraria, you need your house to at least be 4 tall and 10 wide, adequately lit, have walls, doors, tables, and chairs, and no evil. Out of these, we have wood, and don't have anything else. And with that, I'd begin to venture my world to find more materials. I'd find myself the corruption on the way, and I would get brave and decide to take on the corruption. However, this didn't go as planned. I hate the corruption. In my anger, I would decide to break the first block of this run, with a bomb mind you. Then I would go back to exploring my world, this time in the opposite direction, because fuck the corruption. I would find myself the ocean, attempt to get myself a trident from the chests, and fail horrifically. I would continue exploring after this, looking for accessories, weapons, health, anything that would make me stronger. And luckily for me, I would find myself an open cave, something that's heavily required in a run that you can't mine, and oh my god, would you look at that, it's a life crystal. Life crystals increase your health in Terraria, so we're going to want lots of them, and we can break them via bombs. Thank god. You need to find a total of 15 of these if you want to reach full health, which will be very necessary for when we fight bosses. Speaking of which, I just found myself a suspicious looking eye, which summons the Eye of Cthulhu, the first boss of Terraria. Yes, Terraria has bosses. In easy mode, there's 7 bosses in Terraria, and in this video, I'll be taking on 6 of them. In reality, only 2 are required though. Skeletron for the Hellwing Bow, and Queen Bee for the Bee's Knees. This will be useful to take on the Wall of Flesh, and that will grant us access to hard mode. We'll not be killing Deerclops in this run, because he only spawns at midnight during a blizzard, and I can't be arsed waiting for him. With all that being said, I would find myself a dungeon on the left side of the world, which would allow me to summon one of the 2 major bosses of the run, Skeletron. And a few minutes later, I'd find myself an underground house, so be good because I can get myself doors and walls to build my own houses now. However, this would require me to bomb many underground houses for this. With that, I would return to surface. I now have wood, I now have lighting, I now have walls, and I now have doors. However, I don't have tables or chairs yet, so that's next on the chopping block. However, I had an idea for this. I would go find a living wood tree that will spawn at either the left or right side of your world. Spawned at the left side of mine. And there's a little room near the bottom of it that usually has a table and chair in it, as well as a chest. However, of course mine didn't, it just had the chest. But I got one of these things, so that's cool. I'm gonna call him Bird. With that plan failing, I would go up to the Sky Islands to break their tables and chairs. Get used to this. This will be a recurring theme in the video. Anyway, it wouldn't take long of searching before I'd find my first Sky Island. Thank God, because it could take a while sometimes. And with that, I would rob the house of everything they owned, and then I'd bomb their tables, chairs, walls, and take everything for myself. At long last, I have tables and chairs, and I have everything required to make a house, and I can get NPCs to move in now. And with that would begin my building and bombing arc, where I would bomb the Sky Islands and build houses out of them. Anyway, here's a chart I'm not going to follow on where NPCs like to stay. Look, Edmund the fucking merchant showed up. He can give us infinite torches. Anyway, back to terrorizing the Sky Islands, bombing all their residents, houses and all that shit. You know, my favourite pastime. Now back to building. I need enough houses so I can house the guide, the merchant, the demolitionist, the nurse, the goblin tinker, and the tavern keep. And with that, I would begin work on the Hellvator. It's like elevator, but with hell. A Hellvator is a straight line from the top of the road to the very bottom of the world, making getting to hell easy. For this, I'm using plenty of bombs and dynamite. And would you look who showed up? The demolitionist himself. You know, I had to go buy all the dynamite he had. Anyway, back to bombing the earth. And you'll never believe who I found. And no, it's not one of the 7 dwarfs, it's the goblin tinker, mate. He can get us rocket boots, which allows us to fly in easy mode. I would then return to surface and find myself the travelling merchant. This is really useful because we can get ourselves platforms that way, because we can't craft them. And with that, I would begin to build a battlefield to fight the first boss of Terraria, the Eye of Cthulhu. I didn't know how this was going to go, but I knew the Eye of Cthulhu wasn't too bad, so I had faith. Right, so for every boss in this video, I will have a little panel appear on the right hand side. This will give stats on the boss like health, phases, attack, and defense. I will also include weapons and accessories and potions I use to beat the bosses. I'll have this for every single boss while I explain the strategies I use to beat them. For the Eye of Cthulhu, it's not that bad as long as you have good mobility and something to attack at range, and usually a battlefield. Hermes boots and full health is 2 MVPs for this fight, and as you can see, really isn't that hard. With Eye of Cthulhu now defeated, it was time to go back to nuking the earth, leaving a massive crater in the world, just like any country of the world would do with any minor disagreement. You know which countries I'm on about. And with that, I would complete my Hellvator and use the resources I find in Hell to build my own houses, just like I'd done with the Sky Islands. And then back to building boss arenas, this time for the second boss of the game, Skeletron. Let's see how this goes. Skeletron's pretty simple once again, as long as you have a good battlefield, it's not too hard. For my run, the harpoon gun was really useful for this fight. I would just focus on taking out the hands first and then focus on the head. With that, there's not really much more strategy to it, so I'll just let the fight play out now. We win these. With Skeletron defeated, I would now make my way into the dungeon and encounter my worst enemy, cracked dungeon blocks. I fucking hate these. Why did they ever get added to the game? They're adding 1.4 and ever since they've been a pain in the ass. Nobody asked for these, the dungeon was perfect without them. With this challenge, it's even worse and oh, would you look at that? It's a shadow key. It's just what we needed. Let me open a shadow chest with that and I got myself a Hellwing bat first try. And now that I'm feeling better after that crash out, let's kill the Eater of Worlds. For the Eater of Worlds, I recommend dodging the first attack, staying as close as you can, inflicting as much damage as you can early on. This will make it so when the worm starts to break up, it's easier to defeat. It's really not that much of a threat. Even with 0 armor, it didn't threaten me, and as you can see at the end of the fight here, I just started standing still and attacking, so I wouldn't worry about it. Easy dubs for 80-80. With the Eater of Worlds defeated, it's time to go back to format and bomb some floating islands. Oh yes, I love it. I just love bombing all these islands, makes me feel so much better about life. And now back to building and holy fuck, a meteorite just landed. Boys, I've been here before, I've got to save Dusty. And that's enough ADHD, let's kill a boss. The Queen Bee is a pretty easy fight as well, will attack you left to right, jump over, go under. Pretty easy to avoid. She'll float above you for a while, inflict as much damage as you can then. I had the Hellwing bow, so it was pretty easy for me. Don't let the little bee minions stack up, or it will get a bit overwhelming. Apart from that, it's easy pickings. With the Queen Bee now defeated, I would decide to go on a side quest to take on the Old One's army. I don't know why I'd done this, but it didn't go well anyway. So you know what this means. Time for destruction. Honestly, moments like these just make this run all worth it in the end. At this point, my friend Kai would message me. He said I should look for ancient shadow armor. This armor is rare, so I would use a water candle from the dungeon to increase enemy spawn rates. It is a 1 in 525 drop rate from Eater of Worlds found in the corruption. And it's pretty good armor when you consider that I can't get anything else in easy mode, to be honest. I would never really use it any other time, honestly. Would you look at that, we got our first piece. And with that one piece of armor, I'd have stupid confidence to take on the expert Eater of Worlds for the worm scarf. It didn't go well. Yeah, I don't know what I expected, to be honest. Anyway, back to grinding. It would take so long to get both the other pieces of armor. I would get 2 tentacle spikes with a 1 in 525 drop rate, and 2 monster meats with a 1 in 525 drop rate. And guess what else? Another fucking shadow helmet with a 1 in 525 drop rate. Anyway, we would get the chest plate, at long last. Right after getting this chest plate, guess who tried to challenge me? The King Slime, mate. Didn't ken why, like, I didn't ask for this. I guess I'll put some stats on screen or something in a minute. I mean, he's just not that hard to kill, like, it's a children's game, it is on the easiest difficulty, he's kinda boring, mid. Yeah, who cares? And now that I have the King Slime on my resume, I guess it's time to go back to grinding. This did take a while, so I'll save you guys the suffering. Oh, would you look at that? It's Subway Surfers, and oh, will the ball escape the maze? Holy shit. There we go, we'd finally get the Shadow Griefs. This took far too long for a slight stat increase. And with that, you know what time it is. Back to peaceful building. Life is so good. I'm so happy. There's nothing better than bombing people's homes and taking it for your own. Why did I choose to do this? Was this really worth it? I'm failing uni for this. Do my parents still love me? You could have done anything with your life, but you chose this. Anyway, time for one of the most important fights of the entire run. The Wall of Flesh. Beat this, and I get into hard mode. Finally, the Wall of Flesh fight. First real challenge of this run. This actually took a couple of attempts this time. For this fight, make sure you have plenty of space above the arena. I would often get caught in little crevices and laser beamed. For this fight, it's crucial you either have the bee's knees or the Hellwing bow. And alongside that, great horizontal and vertical movement. So Hermes boots and rocket boots are a requirement. And with that being said, just keep your distance, shoot blindly towards the wall, keep moving up and down so it can't catch you with the laser beams. I'll let the fight play out now. With the Wall of Flesh now defeated, I've entered hard mode. Lots of new items, enemies, biomes. Now, I would begin a grind for 2 of the most important items in the run. The Rod of Discord and the Dedulous Stormbow. Of the 2, the Dedulous Stormbow is much easier to get.
Oh. Killed him. Oh my god, he dropped what I needed.
The Rod of Discord, however, was not. See, the Rod of Discord has a 1 in 500 drop chance from Chaos Elementals, which ended up taking so long to get that I got 2 biome keys with a 1 in 2500 drop rate. I got one of them twice. I would also get 9 mechanical boss summoners, 5 twins, 4 Skeletron Prime, and 0 destroyers, with a 1 in 2500 drop rate as well. What are mechanical bosses, I hear you asking? These are mechanical bosses. They're important for hard mode progression to kill Plantera, but first we have to kill Queen Slime to get the Crystal Assassin armor, so we're ready to fight the mechanical bosses. Otherwise, we would end up getting completely cooked.
Look at this dude. Wait till you see the...
What? Oh my god, what the fuck? Oh my god, I got... Oh my lord, yes.
With the Rod of Discord acquired, it was time to use a gelatin crystal and take on the fabled Queen Slime. Let's see how that went. So for this fight, nah, joking, we got completely fucked, guys. I fucking hate Queen Slime. After getting cooked from the Queen Slime, I knew it was time to finally get that worm scarf. Let's see how that went. So, Expert Eater of Worlds. This fight is much harder than regular Eater of Worlds. With the available easy mode armors and weapons I can get without mining or crafting, I recommend doing this after you have hard mode items. For this fight, ensure that you have a cobalt shield on you and keep your distance at all times. Keep an eye on as many as you can because they can easily sneak up on you. This fight also surprisingly took a couple turns, so don't be discouraged if you lose a couple times. And there we have it. Upon acquiring the worm scarf, I had one plan: defeat the Queen Slime once and for all. The Queen Slime was a real sticking point in this run. I died so many times to the Queen Slime I started using potions. Here's some things I recommend for the fight. Make sure you have a cobalt shield on you, Hermes boots, rocket boots, and of course the worm scarf. For the weapons I used, the chains of guillotines is one of the best items you can use at this point, especially when you can't mine or craft. Now I recommend killing this boss as fast as you possibly can, because the slimes that it summons overwhelm you so quickly. This is why you need a cobalt shield, otherwise you'll get comboed into oblivion. This fight is one of the hardest in the run, since you still have to use ancient shadow armor to defeat a hard mode boss at this point. However, after this boss we get crystal assassin armor, and that'll make life much easier for a while.
Guy's muted, I hate him, but just that easy. It's just that easy.
With the Queen Slime finally defeated, it was time to grind for the crystal assassin armor, which grants me the ability to dash.
There we go.
After finally getting myself a new armor, it was time to finally take on the mechanical bosses. Wish me luck. First up, we have the twins. So for the twins fight, there's two eyes, Retinator and Spasmatism. I recommend taking out Retinator first. However, in my video I take out Spasmatism first, just because I like to flex on people. Each eye has two phases, and this is why you want to take out Retinator first, because Spasmatism on phase 2 is so difficult that having Retinator attack you at the same time makes the fight very overwhelming. For this fight, the Chains of Guillotines was a real MVP and saved me. I never realised how good it was until this fight, and for the accessories I just used the same as last time. I'll just let the fight finish up now.
And it's just that easy. Oh, I got his trophy as well.
With the twins defeated, it was time to go nuke the jungle and make space for a Plantera battlefield. See, in hard mode, after you defeat the mechanical bosses, you fight Plantera, and Plantera gives you a temple key to fight Golem.
That's a decent amount of space, right?
I would continue to make the battlefield and pray in the process I can get a mechanical worm to drop. Remember the mechanical boss summoners from earlier? 5 twins and 4 skeleton prime? I'm gonna need at least 1 mechanical worm so we can actually fight the destroyer. And after multiple hours of grinding, I could only get myself 1 skeleton prime summoner. I guess this was a sign from the universe. Let's fight skeleton prime next. The Skeletron Prime fight. It's like Skeletron but with 4 arms this time, and a lot more deadly. I recommend taking out 2 left arms first, being the saw and the laser, as they can cause you the most hassle. The 2 right arms aren't as much of a bother, but take them out anyway. Once they're gone, there's nothing stopping you from killing this boss. Once again, the same weapons and accessories apply. Chains of Guillotines were MVP, and the only other advice I can give is make sure you fight this boss at the start of night, because if it reaches the end of night, the boss will insta-kill you, so leave plenty of time. With that, I'll let the fight play out now. That wasn't too hard. With Skeletron Prime now defeated, it was time to go back and grind for one specific item, the mechanical worm. I fucking hate grinding for this. It took so long I managed to get myself a jungle key, in fact. At this point I'd gotten bored of grinding for this item, so I just decided to go play some Beat Saber and actually have a good time and occasionally check on things. It was actually taking so long, I asked ChatGPT for help, and it replied with L. Thanks ChatGPT, that's what I needed. And then this would happen. I don't know when on earth I picked this item up, but I about lost my shit here. With that, it was finally time to take on the Destroyer. I was actually really nervous for this fight since it took so long to get the summoner. I knew I had one chance at this. However, remember the Digestible Stormbow from earlier? That's what makes this fight so easy. It does so much damage, especially when combined with holy arrows. However, in this run, I couldn't craft them, but even the Digestible Stormbow by itself dominated this boss. With the mechanical bosses now defeated, the jungle would grow restless. This means we can find Plantera bulbs to summon Plantera, and we can get ourselves life fruits which give us more health. And would you look at that, I just so happened to find one. Then I would proceed to get destroyed by the game. And with all that, it was time to take on one of the biggest threats of this run, Plantera. Plantera is known for being criminally hard at times. I was worried for this one. First though, I would have to lure him back to the battlefield to make sure I had any chance of defeating him. Now, let's do this. So for Plantera, stay as far away as you can during this fight. Make sure you have a giant battlefield, otherwise you'll get cornered really easily. Having good mobility is key for this fight. I recommend lapping circles around Plantera. Once again, the chains of guillotines carried here. For accessories this time, I had a jetpack as well as Hermes boots. And with that, I'll let the fight play out now. It's just that easy. With Plantera now defeated, I would gain access to a temple key. This would allow me to enter the Golem temple and fight Golem. I don't know why, I've always found the Golem temple unnecessarily difficult. From the traps to the enemies, let me go over them quickly for you. While making your way through the Golem temple, you have to fight lizards and flying snakes. To find chests and power cells, use the power cells on a lizard altar so you can fight Golem himself. You will be doing all this while trying to avoid these 4 deadly traps that can be very dangerous if activated. And would you look at that, we found ourselves a lizard altar. Now time to just clean up the place, light up the place and get ready to fight. Let's see how this one goes. I would quickly find out I wasn't cut out for this fight and barely escaped with my life. So I would begin to grind for the flower pow, dropped off Plantera. Wasn't that hard to get. And then, this would happen. What I like about Terraria is no matter how many times you play it, you're never prepared for what it's going to throw at you. Apparently something called the Torch God was attacking me. I didn't even know that was a thing, to be honest. And only summons after 101 torches are put down in one area. It was a pretty easy fight. As long as you can dodge or have high defense, you'll make it through pretty easily, to be honest. And would you look at that, we got ourselves the Torch God's favor. And with that, it's time to go look for life fruits before fighting Golem again. With my newly acquired flower pow and more health, it was time to rematch the Golem. Let's fucking go. So, for the Golem fight, he has 2 hands, a head, and a body. Take out those 2 hands immediately. If you take out the head first, you'll have phase 2 activated and the 2 hands after you, and it's just too much to deal with. Once the head has been defeated, the body will jump after you, and the head will float above you, shooting laser beams down at you. Since you have to fight Golem in his arena, bring everything you can for slight buffs. A campfire, a bast statue, anything else you can think of, do it. This time, the flower pow was the MVP of the fight, as it does high damage and multiple impacts in one shot. Make sure you bring your best potions for this fight, as this is one of the hardest of the run. I'll let the fight finish up now. And there we go, one of the hardest bosses of the run defeated. With the Golem now defeated, screams would echo from the dungeon. This means the hard mode dungeon is unlocked. This also means we can use those biome keys we collected earlier on the appropriate chests and get ourselves some very powerful weapons. And on the way there, this would happen. a 4th biome key. This means we can get 4 overpowered items at the dungeon now, including the vile scourge of the corruptor. So I'd make my way to the dungeon and begin searching. First one was really easy to find. It was essentially at the opening of the dungeon. I would get myself a rainbow gun. This will come in useful later. With a bit more searching, I would find myself a desert tiger staff, a very useful summon. I would also find myself a piranha gun. Totally useless. I would not go on to use this. Finally, I would get myself the vile scourge of the corruptor. The best item in this run. And you know I just had to test out killing all the monsters of the dungeon. I would then proceed to go finish off getting full health in this run, which is pretty necessary in a challenge like this. I would then buy a net from the merchant and go hunting for a truffle worm so I can summon the Duke Fisheron. He is an item I really need. I would then return to surface to speak to the mechanic about getting a mechanical fishing rod so I can actually summon the boss, and I will get myself a couple more platforms while the travelling merchant is around. But before fighting the Duke Fisheron, I had to annihilate the Martians first. Anyway, peaceful building montage. Now it was time to take on one of the most feared bosses of the run, the Duke Fisheron. For this fight, make sure you have a huge arena. If the Duke Fisheron leaves the ocean, it will get twice as strong, twice as fast, twice as aggressive, and you'll be twice as fucked. I built my arena all the way up to space, and make sure you use a Scutlix for the fight. This will ensure you're fast enough so the Duke Fisheron can't catch you. Make sure you're moving up, down, left, right. Do not let that fish catch you. For this fight, the Scourge of the Corruptor really carried, and make sure to bring a Bast and Campfire once again. And thank fuck that's over. With the Duke Fisheron defeated, it was time to start grinding for the Flairon. As you can see, this didn't take too long. I would also begin grinding for the Fisheron wings. This, however, did take a while. In fact, I had to kill the Duke Fisheron over 10 times for it. And with that, it would be time to take on the second hardest boss of the game, the Empress of Light. The Empress of Light fight is the most bullet hell fight in all of Terraria. For this fight, the Flairon and the Fisheron wings really carried this. I would not have been able to do it without them. The Flairon shoots bubbles that target onto the enemy. The Fisheron wings allow a lot of flight and mobility. These two combined made it so this fight was possible. I just had to focus on dodging the projectiles. Anything else and I might have not been able to do this. I'll let the fight finish up now.
Suck it, cunt.
With the Empress of Light defeated, it was time to take on the Lunatic Cultist, the 4 Celestial Pillars guarding Moonlord, and final boss of Terraria himself, the Moonlord. Wish me luck. Starting off with the Lunatic Cultist. This fight was harder than expected, since we were still using the Crystal Assassin armor. This fight is one that should be done slowly and patiently, and not quick and hastily, because the Lunatic Cultist has an attack that duplicates itself, and if you hit the wrong one, you got to deal with more than one Lunatic Cultist. You'll see at the end of the fight, I was dealing with 6 of them. On top of this, you'll be fighting a dragon as well. So take the fight slow and steady and don't rush it, and you'll be fine. I'll let this finish up now. With the Lunatic Cultist defeated, the Celestial Pillars would invade the world. I would need to defeat each of them to take on Moonlord. And with that, allow me to take a minute to tell you how much I fucking hate the Solar Pillar. You have to deal with that long cunt, those 3 bastards, and that fucking ball. And it's a total nightmare. Anyway, with that being said, the rest of the pillars weren't too bad. Took out the Vortex Pillar, wasn't much trouble. I would then proceed to go on and fight the Stardust Pillar, which in my opinion is one of the easiest ones to take out because of the spheres that summon. However, before I would take on the Nebula Pillar, there was one last thing I had to do. It was finally time for me to take on the Old One's army. The farther we make it in this, the more Defender medallions we can get, which we can trade with the Tavern Keep and get ourselves some nice armors. These armors aren't usually required, but in this challenge, it'll be useful. However, my first attempt at this didn't go too well. So I'd get myself Tiki armor from the Witch Doctor so I can get a summoner build. Plus, the defense was essentially the same as the Crystal Assassin armor. This time around, the Old One's army went much smoother. I was using the Rainbow Gun on one side and attacking the other side with the Influx Waver, and the extra minions really helped this time around. I also had a Scutlix, which was really helping, and I just changed all my accessories to summoner accessories, and it all went well. With that tragic defeat, I would go back one more time to try to defeat the old one's army. Succeed and, well, fail at the same time, but I got enough Defender's medals. I would trade those Defender's medals to the Tavern Keep to get myself the Shinobi armor. I chose that over Valhalla for the increased melee damage, since I did have a melee build, and the defense is much greater. With the Shinobi armor, it was time for me to fight the final pillar and take down Moonlord. Once and for all. Let's do this. The final boss of Terraria, Moonlord. To defeat Moonlord, you have to take out his 3 eyes, the one on his head and the 2 on his hands. I recommend weakening all the eyes, so you can kill them in close proximity, because after each eye is defeated, it will come out and attack you and it does lots of damage. For this fight, stay as far away from the Moonlord as you can, use the Rod of Discord to avoid the huge laser beam that gets shot at you, and use weapons like the Flairon or the Vile Scourge of the Corruptor. Once all 3 eyes have been defeated, you unlock Moonlord's core. Once we defeat Moonlord's core, we complete our challenge. With such a soul-crushing defeat, I had to go back to the drawing board and I realised there was one more armour I could get, the Valhalla armour. It too was 150 medallions, but had much better stats of 6 to 8 defense and all the stat boosts so much better. After an hour of grinding, I would buy the armor and get ready for one final attempt at this. This time around, I was confident I was going to go in there, take out the Lone Tick Cultist, defeat the Celestial Pillars, and beat Moonlord once and for all. I would take out the pillars one by one with ease this time, none of them posing a challenge. I had so much confidence going into this final battle. And with that, we're back to the final boss. I'll let it play out now. Not stressed out once during that experience, and I got a load of shit. And there we have it. You can beat Terraria without mining or crafting. This journey was amazing. I hope I encourage some of you to try it out. Please like and subscribe because this video took me a lifetime. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Thank you.